Welcome back to Simright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to sew this simple trendy bubu kaftan with lace edges, as you can see. Please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. I'll be making use of 3.5 yards of my lace fabric. So these 3.5 yards, I'm not actually going to use all of them, okay, but 3 yards is going to be short if you are making a long bubu kaftan with this lace fabric. So the 3 yards of my fabric right now, I'm going to place it on fold. So what I mean is the whole of what I have here measures from here 3 yards, okay. Then I'm going to put that 3 yards on fold. So when I put it on fold, I'll take the measurement of the length of my bubu kaftan. So if the length of my bubu kaftan is too much, then I won't get this other length up to this point, okay. So I'll measure what I have from here to see. So I'll keep adjusting it till I have my desired length on the 3.5, okay. So 3.5 is actually going to be too long, but then 3 yards will be very short for my length, okay. I'm working with the length of 57 inches from the shoulder, which is the part I folded, to the hem, okay. So you can see I didn't get up to the hem. So I'll just cross check my length right now to know if it falls at 57 from the folded part to that hem. Let me do that. What I have here is exactly 58 inches from that length. So I'm going to cut off what I have on this part, okay. So but before I do that, I will go ahead and pick up the folded part of the lace, and I'm going to match it up with the other folded part. So I'm going to later trim off this net part of this lace. I'll trim it off through the scallops. So now I'll put it together. So once I put it together, what I have here becomes my center front neckline. Can you see? So I have both center front and center back neckline. So I desire to work with this bubu kaftan without having this part on fold. So I'm not going to make any shoulder slant line or whatever. So I'll just go ahead and cut my neckline. I'm going to cut front and back neckline right now. So now on the center front area, this is my center front. The folded part is center front and center back. So I'll just go ahead and take the measurement of my neck width. So the entire neck width I'm working with is 4 inches. So I'll just mark the 4 inches. And the neck width for the back I want to work with is 2.5 inches. And I'll mark my 2.5 inches. So if you want your back neckline to be a little bit wider, the depth, you can go ahead and measure as you desire. So I'm going to connect the 4x2. The neck width is 4x2. So I'll connect it from here for the back. Okay. So I'll just connect it like this to the 4x2. So I just want my neckline to be very rounded. Then that of the back, I'm going to connect what I have 4x4 for the front, 4x4 for my front, okay. So for the front neckline, I'll come from that 4 inches and connect 4x4. Can you see? So that becomes my neckline. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the back neckline first. I'll cut out the back neckline first. Then after I'm done separating it, I will cut out the front neckline. So I will leave it at this point. For the back, as you can see, then the next thing after cutting the neckline is to take the measurement of my hip because at that hip line, that is where I want to start shaping. So here I'll place my tape at the beginning, as you can see right here, and I'm going to measure my hip measurement. So my hip measurement is 29 inches. So I just want this the cutting to be at 21 inches. So I'll just mark 29, sorry, at my hip. So I'll just mark here at my hip. So once I've done that, I'll come over to this hip and measure my hip circumference. So the hip circumference I'm working with here is 46. So 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. Okay, so this is my 11.5. And for this BUBU, I'm going to add 3 inches for my ease. I just want it very big. Then I'll add half an inch, that is 3.5, for my sewing. So I'm going to sew at half an inch. So taking the measurement to the center front, I have here 15.5, and I'll go over to the hem. I'll also measure my 15.5. Okay, so once I measure my 15.5, this is what I have. Okay, then I'm going to rule a straight line from that 15.5 I have on the hip. I'll just take it straight this way till I get to the hem. So I'll just take it to the hem. So at this point, I'm going to cut everything together. I'm cutting the dress together from the hem. This is my hem, which I told you I've taken the measurement at 58 inches. That is what I'm working with, 58 inches. So now I'm going to cut from that 15.5, which is the hem. So I'm cutting both front and back, as you can see right here. So I'm cutting both front and back. So by the time I get to my hip, where I want the fall of the lace, I'll just put a cuff to it like this. Can you see that? So that is exactly how I want this dress to be. So here I'm going to stitch close, and by the time I get here, I start going this way. So now you remember the neckline, I cut them together, the back together. So I'll pick it up and hold it on. Please make sure you make a notch, because there's no seam line here. So since there is no seam line, I'll just make a notch, a little notch here. So that notch, I'll use it to know the shoulder seam line. So I'll open it this way. I'll open the neckline this way. Can you see that? Then pick up the notch and the notch of this. Make sure they match very appropriately. So I just pick it up. The notch, make sure it's on the notch. Then I'm going to cut out the front neckline. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and cut, follow my chalk line and cut the front neckline to the 4 inches. So when I open it, still holding it on the notch, you can now have front and back. Can you see? So make sure you hold it on the notch. So you can see front and back neckline. You can see that the down part is shorter than this. So we are done with this dress. So all I'm going to do now is to use my bias. So I'm going to use my bias right now. I will go ahead to my machine and I'm going to sew my bias. So I'll start off from the notch. I'll turn to the right side. Okay, let me use this notch of the shoulder seam. So I'm going to fold in. This is how I'm going to sew. I'll fold in this way, open my bias, and then I'm going to sew round at 0.5 inch. So when I get, all right, so after sewing it round at that 0.5 inch or a quarter of an inch of the bias neckline, so like I said, the first one I folded it in this way, and the second one, when I came, I placed it right on top of it. So you can see how they are all overlapping each other. So right now I'll just go ahead, open up what I have here and fold in. Can you see? I'm going to do a top stitching of it right now all around. All right, so this is what the neckline looks like, the bias. Okay, so I'm going to give it a good press right now. This is the back and this is the front piece. So I've gone ahead to close the sides. This is one side of it, you can see. This is the lace edge. I close the side from here, from the hip line up to this point, and I repeated the same thing this way. Can you see? So the dress is ready, and you can see the front neckline is deeper than the back neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to place my notches. So this BUBU kaftan, you can actually sew it in a short minute. So at this curve area, I'll just put notches, so when ironing it open, I'll be able to iron it nicely. Okay, I'll also put the same notch on this part. So after sewing the dress, you can see what I have on the hip line to the shoulder line. This is the shoulder line and this is the hip line. So I'll just go ahead and follow this line where I joined. I'll make sure I straighten everything to be at the same page. So I'll take the measurements from my shoulder. I'm taking the measurements of my sleeve opening. So from here, my sleeve opening, I'm making use of 12 inches. Okay, this is a BUBU. So I love to open up my BUBU at 12 inches. So at these 12 inches, I'll just make a little mark. I'll go to my machine now. I'm going to stitch this way from here. I'm going to have a straight stitch up to this point. Then my sleeve will open from here at 12 inches. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side as well. Now I'm done with the dress and I've already stitched like I told you. I left 12 inches open. So here is the sleeve opening. Can you see? And at this point I started to stitch. So I stitched from that 12 inches point all the way, if you can see my stitches right there, to this point I have the curve. Okay, so I did that for this other part as well. So this is how I'll come to the end of this tutorial, and I believe this simple tutorial is helpful to you. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you once again. See you in the next class. Bye.